What would you do if your unpaid internship led you to uncover a multi-million-dollar embezzlement scheme at the very company exploiting your labor? This isn't fiction. This isn't a movie. This is the astonishing true story of Sarah Martinez, an invisible intern buried under paperwork, dismissed as replaceable, yet unknowingly standing at the center of a corporate crime so vast it would shake an entire industry. An unpaid intern, a corrupt empire, and a shocking betrayal hiding in plain sight. What happens when the person everyone overlooks becomes the one who exposes everything? When quiet diligence becomes a weapon? When silence turns into justice? Tonight, you'll witness a chilling crime drama of power, loyalty, deception, and retribution. A real-life David versus Goliath battle where a single overlooked woman dismantles a multi-million-dollar fraud from the inside. Get ready, because this story will change how you see corporations, internships, and the price of truth forever. Sarah Martinez was brilliant. Not the flashy kind of brilliant that executives admired, but the quiet, observant brilliance that often went unnoticed. She graduated top of her class in business analytics, carrying student debt that weighed heavier than her backpack. When she landed an internship at Monarch Global Holdings, a prestigious multinational firm worth billions, she believed it was her golden ticket. Monarch was a corporate titan, sleek glass skyscrapers, marble lobbies, polished executives in tailored suits, and a reputation for ethical leadership. On paper, it was a dream opportunity. In reality, it was a cage. Sarah was unpaid. No salary, no stipend, no benefits. Her title was Junior Financial Operations Intern, but her actual role was glorified clerical labor. Every day she arrived at 7:45 a.m., sat in a windowless cubicle in the basement office floor, far from the executives upstairs, and performed endless repetitive tasks. Sorting messy spreadsheets, entering financial records into outdated systems, organizing digital files no one cared about, fixing errors made by senior analysts, filing documents executives never bothered to read. She was invisible. To them, she was just another replaceable intern, temporary, disposable, and powerless. But Sarah noticed everything. She noticed how files were mislabeled. She noticed how numbers didn't always align. She noticed how certain documents were always restricted. Still, she told herself, "This is how it starts. Pay your dues, keep your head down." She worked harder than most paid employees, staying late, volunteering for extra tasks, hoping someone would notice. No one did. And yet, in that invisibility, something dangerous began to stir. It started with a single spreadsheet. A routine task: reconcile expense reports for one of Monarch's international subsidiaries. At first glance, everything looked normal. But then Sarah saw it. A tiny discrepancy. $142,600. A relatively small amount in a billion-dollar corporation, but it appeared repeatedly in different accounts, disguised under different categories. Consulting fees, miscellaneous expenses, administrative adjustments. Each time, the same amount resurfaced like a ghost. Her first thought, "I must have made a mistake." She double-checked, then triple-checked. The number remained. Her heart began to race. Maybe it was a system glitch, maybe it was a typo. But something felt wrong. Instead of ignoring it, Sarah did something no one expected. She started digging. Late at night, after everyone left, she cross-referenced financial records across multiple departments. Using the very tools meant for her menial tasks, she uncovered patterns. Fake vendor names, duplicate invoices, shell companies receiving large sums, transactions routed through offshore accounts. What began as curiosity turned into dread. This was not a mistake. This was organized financial crime. A sophisticated embezzlement scheme, hidden in plain sight. Sarah realized something terrifying. She was looking at corruption from inside the machine. For weeks, Sarah worked in secret. She downloaded documents. She mapped financial trails. She connected dots others ignored. She created a private folder labeled Archive Backup, but inside it held proof of fraud. Every discovery made her stomach churn. Executives she admired were implicated. Managers she trusted were involved. Entire departments were complicit. She felt trapped between fear and responsibility. If she spoke up too soon, she could be fired, blacklisted, silenced. If she stayed quiet, millions would continue disappearing. Late one night, sitting alone in the office, she whispered to herself, "If I don't expose this, who will?" That was the moment Sarah stopped being just an intern. She became a whistleblower. Sarah knew confronting the criminals directly would be suicide. Instead, she chose strategy over emotion. She compiled a digital dossier. Bank statements, fraudulent invoices, email chains, internal approvals, money transfers to shell companies. Every document was time-stamped. Every claim was backed by evidence. Then she chose her target. Mr. Harold Bennett, a senior compliance officer, respected, calm, and supposedly ethical. He was the gatekeeper between truth and destruction. One rainy afternoon, Sarah requested a private meeting. In a glass conference room overlooking the city, she placed a folder on the table. Harold smiled politely. "Sarah, what can I help you with?" She took a deep breath. Then she slid the documents across. His expression changed instantly. Pale, frozen, silent. As he flipped through the pages, realization dawned. This wasn't speculation. This wasn't paranoia. This was undeniable proof. Harold looked up, his voice shaking. "Where did you get this?" Sarah replied calmly, "From doing my job." The room fell silent. In that moment, power shifted. The unpaid intern was no longer powerless. She held the corporation hostage with the truth. Within 48 hours, Monarch Global Holdings was in crisis. Emergency board meetings. Legal teams deployed. Emails locked down. Computers seized. News leaked. Headlines exploded worldwide. Intern EXPOSES, multi-million-dollar embezzlement scheme. Corporate giant under investigation. WHISTLEBLOWER, intern SHAKES financial world. Federal investigators stepped in. Several executives were arrested. Accounts were frozen. Stock prices plummeted. The once untouchable corporation was now bleeding in public view. And at the center of it all stood Sarah, the woman they once ignored. The fallout was massive. Monarch's reputation shattered. Clients pulled out. Legal battles began. Trust evaporated overnight. But something bigger happened beyond corporate punishment. A national conversation ignited about unpaid internships, worker exploitation, corporate ethics, whistleblower protection, power imbalance in workplaces. Sarah became a symbol, not of revenge but of courage. She testified before government panels. She spoke at universities. She advocated for fair labor laws. And for the first time in her life, she was seen. Not as an intern, not as invisible, but as a hero. Years later, Sarah stood on a stage, accepting an award for corporate transparency and integrity. She looked out at the audience and said, "I wasn't special, I wasn't powerful, I wasn't important. But I was observant, I was patient, and I refused to look away. Her story became a reminder to the world. Power doesn't always belong to those at the top. Sometimes it belongs to those watching quietly from below. The overlooked, the underestimated, the invisible. Because even in the darkest systems of corruption, truth has a way of surfacing. And sometimes, it comes from the least expected place. An unpaid intern. So remember this. Corruption thrives in silence, but justice begins with one brave voice. Sarah Martinez wasn't a detective. She wasn't a lawyer. She wasn't a CEO. She was just an intern, and that was enough to change everything.